Saddleback Educational Publishing's The Closet. Joe, Gil says, help me with this. Joe grabs one end of the box. The boys carry it into their new apartment. Their dad is at the door. Someone else is there too. There you two are, Dad says. This is Lynn. She lives next to us. Lynn, these are my boys. Joe is 12 and Gil is 11. Hi, Joe says. Nice to meet you. Dad goes to get more boxes. Joe and Gil talk to Lynn. Gil is curious. Who had this apartment before we did? The Browns did, Lynn says. Then Mr. Brown passed away. Mrs. Brown is in apartment 2B now. She did not need such a big place. Lynn looks down the hall. Then she whispers, "Be careful here. There is something strange." "What?" Gil asks. Lynn continues to whisper, "It started after Mr. Brown passed away. At night, I wake up. I hear things. Bang, bang. It comes from your apartment. Every night." Joe and Gil look at each other. "You hear banging?" Gil asks. "From this apartment?" "Yes," Lynn says. "Your apartment. I hear it all night. Bang, bang, bang." Gil shakes his head. "But this apartment has been empty. Until now." "I know," Lynn says. "What do you think it is?" Joe asks. "Who knows?" Lynn says. "A ghost? You will hear it. Wait and see." Lynn walks away. Joe and Gil look at each other. "There are no ghosts," Joe says. "No," Gil says. "Ghosts are not real." Night comes. The brothers sleep in their new room. Bang! Gil wakes up. Bang! Bang! Gil looks at Joe. He is still asleep. Bang! Bang! "Joe," Gil says, "wake up." Joe sits up. "What?" he asks. Bang! Bang! "What is that?" Joe asks. "It is in the closet," Gil says. "But the closet is empty," Joe says. Boxes sit by their beds. Clothes are inside. They have not yet put them away. Bang! Bang! "Joe, open the closet," Gil says. "No," Joe says. "You do it." "You do it," Gil says. Gil and Joe stay in their beds. They do not want to open the closet. "Joe," Gil whispers, "is it a ghost? Mr. Brown's ghost?" "Ghosts are not real," Joe says. Then the noises stop. It is quiet. "Go to sleep," Joe says. "We will wait until morning. Then we will look around." Morning comes. Joe and Gil get up. They stand by the closet door. Neither one wants to open it. Gil sighs. "I will do it." He opens the door. They look in the closet. It is empty. "Well, what do you think?" Gil asks. "What made those noises?" "I do not know," Joe says. That night, Joe gets a flashlight. He puts it under his bed. Then Gil and Joe go to sleep. Bang! Bang! They wake up. There it is again, Gil whispers. What is it? Come on, Joe says. Joe grabs the flashlight. He gets out of bed. Joe walks to the closet. Gil is beside him. Joe opens the door. They look inside. Empty, Gil whispers. It is empty. Joe and Gil go back to bed. The noises stop. They do not talk, but they cannot sleep. Morning comes. Joe and Gil talk. What can we do? Gil asks. Joe looks in the closet. Then he turns to the boxes. There are 4 of them. I want to put away our clothes. Maybe then the banging will stop, Joe says. Joe and Gil open the boxes. They take out their clothes. Joe's shirts go on one shelf. His pants go on another. Gil takes the other 2 shelves. That night, they go to bed. Again, Joe has the flashlight. They do not sleep. Time ticks by. All is quiet. Their eyes droop. Soon they sleep. Morning comes. They get up. Yes, Gil says. I did not hear banging. Did you? No, Joe says. I did not. Then Joe opens the closet. Gil, he says. Gil looks in the closet. Some clothes are on the floor. The clothes are from just one shelf. That shelf is now empty. Did you take clothes off this shelf? Joe asks. No, Gil says. Did you? No, Joe says. So who did this? The ghost, Gil says. Ghosts are not real. Maybe they are, Gil says. Think for a second. Why are the clothes off just this shelf? Gil looks at the shelf. It is empty. But then he sees something. Look here, he says. Something is behind the shelf. It is by the wall. Joe gets the flashlight. They look. I see it too, Joe says. Gil pulls it out. It is a black and white photograph. This is old. Who is in it? Joe asks. Gil looks at it. I think I know. Come with me. They run to apartment 2B. Gil knocks. Mrs. Brown opens the door. Hi, Mrs. Brown. I am Gil. This is my brother Joe. We live in your old apartment. Gil holds out the photograph. We found this in our closet. Is it yours? Mrs. Brown looks at the photograph. Yes, thank you. I love this photograph. It is of my husband and me. Look how happy we were. You look very happy, Joe says. Thank you again, Mrs. Brown says. That night, Joe puts away the flashlight. Joe and Gil get into bed. Was it a ghost? Gil asks. Someone wanted us to get that photograph, Joe says. That someone wanted Mrs. Brown to have it. Mr. Brown, Gil says. Mr. Brown's ghost, Joe says. Joe and Gil go to sleep. It is quiet all night.